Nadia Gouy is Arabic A, pretty much a French A, English B, Spanish C interpreter and translator. She was born and raised in Morocco. Her mother tongue is Amazigh or Berber, but that she speaks that quite rarely now. She learned modern standard Arabic at roughly the same time as French, then started learning English in seventh grade. Then went on to get a BA in English Language and Literature from a university in Casablanca, an MA in Translation with English at a graduate school of translation in Tangiers, and an MPA from the Middlebury Institute of International Studies. She was a Fulbright Fellow from 2006 to 2008, and she has 15 years of experience as a freelance and in-house translator. She has interpreted high-level meetings and official visits for the Minister of Parliamentary Relations in Morocco and has also worked as a freelance interpreter. Also, she's a fellow student. We're both getting our master's in conference interpreting at Glendon, and she is 2 weeks shy of her exit exams. So super special thanks for taking the time to talk to us today. Nadia, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. I would like to start my talk today with a quote. It's a very poignant quote, I would say, and it's taken from a job description, a real one. While performing the duties of the job, the employee is occasionally required to stand, walk, sit, use hands and finger, handle or feel objects, tools or controls, reach with hands and arms, climb stairs, stoop, kneel, crouch or crawl, talk or hear, taste or smell. Specific vision abilities by the job include close vision, distance vision, color vision, peripheral vision, deep perception, and the ability to adjust focus. So while this is a caricature of a job description, reality is these are the job, these are job expectations. This is the best example of ableism I've been able to lay hand on. And it's just a reflection of the reality of a blind job hunter. And I was faced with such hurdles, and I am still, especially when I change career or change countries. It's just a whole mess. And so it was more so when I was a fresh graduate, of course, going back home. When I finished my degree in the US and went back home to Morocco, I would apply for a job, then they would ask for photos. That's just normal. That's how they do it, normal business in Morocco. So, and I wouldn't send any photos to see if they would call. They would call right away. But at the end of the call, I would tell them, if they ask for an in-person interview, that I am blind. And all those promises of a person interview would just vanish into thin air. And by then I understood that I would be better off working on my translation degree and using my translation degree and working as a full-time translator, which I did and thought it would work. It was working, but the more ground CAT tools gained, the fewer choices I had working as a translator, for the bitter and simple reason, which is CAT tools are insanely inaccessible. Like, I don't even get to do anything. Nothing. SDL, MemoQ, MemSource are all inaccessible. I guess the only exception would be Fluency now, which is not widely used in the market. So thought, okay, the sky is the limit. I decided then to become and change gears and become a full-time interpreter. I thought that would be my best way. After all, isn't it interpreting just a rendition, a an oral rendition of a message from a language to another? Well, that's what I thought. I started out as a liaison interpreter. And so I tapped into my memory and language skills. I heavily relied on my memory, more so because, yeah, it impressed my clients. I didn't have a braille display. I'll show you my tools in a second. And so it was very expensive. It still is, but I can afford it. But at that time, as a fresh graduate, and I couldn't do that. And it wasn't available in Morocco altogether. So I had to also pay customs duties, find a company to import it from a different country, and it was complicated. And I couldn't
Era
use,
complicado e eu não poderia
and
fazer.
I couldn't use my cane, and I couldn't use a computer because it was cumbersome. I had a cane and I had to grope for my way in unfamiliar places, so it was complicated. Anyways, I couldn't keep relying on my memory, of course. I started doing SIMO, and I had to also use my assistive technology. So first things first, I would like to show you my first tool, which is JAWS. It's called Job Access with Speech. It just says it all. So everything that's in a computer is read out in a very nice speech that Melissa loves. So Melissa, could we show that?
Yep, give me a second. Cue share sound and QuickTime Player, share. Oops, you can see everything on my screen. Hold on one second. We don't want you seeing everything on my screen. Give me 1 second here. All right. Now I will share my screen. QuickTime Player. Share.
Space. Let's say I'm looking for a word, for instance. Okay, hemp.
H-E-M-P space I-N space A-R-A-B-I-C space. Enter. Hemp in Arabic Google search. Heading level 1 search edit clear button search by voice Google search heading level navigation heading descript all current page link graphic 1 trillion search results translation results heading level English and dash detected button swap languages button.
For me to
Arabic
read
button.
Arabic, I need to do this.
Select the voice profile. Frank Mike Sapi Vocalizer Expressive Factory. Ava Vocalizer Expressive Premium. Eteric Vocalizer Expressive Premium. 9 of 9.
And it's now
enter text.
different.
Escape hemp. Void in text is clear so
عيدان يا عين يا دا ألف نون فراغ
alt blank blank o prep to b com o m enter YouTube
نقطة
com select full region is guide search edit space banner read blank Arabic
فتح الهلال 101 إغلاق الهلال ميم ميم
blank
ميم
blank
بارانو ألف ميم جيم
space
حاء واو لام ألف لام تاء نون واو عين
space
واو ألف لا ثاء ألف تاء مربوط
enter
فتح الهلال 100
is heading
عدد محاط برنامج يوم جديد مع قاطعة صالح برنامج الطريق الثقافي وجوه
enter
برنامج الطريق الثقافي 8
Like
off
نون
so for me to actually for me to start interpreting, I have
getting description
نون
to find the button. But with YouTube, for instance, there is a way to do it. Like I do
on
insert and W, and I'll be able to stop it.
No place
Or-
markers. Off.
Move
نون.
forward or rewind.
Getting description.
نون.
Yeah, but it's so difficult when, let's say, there is an ad, then everything stops, my computer starts talking, everything
Six
starts talking, and I need to find, I
Six
need
line.
to do this and write.
Just find dialog.
Skip
P
ad.
space A D
Not
D
ad.
D. Enter.
Because
Screen
there is
find
no
result.
skip ad
Escape.
here, so it says screen find not available, results not available. But I was just trying to show you, like,
Seek slider left right.
sometimes we
Escape.
use YouTube, you know, at Glendon to interpret, and it's so complicated for me when we are interpreting and we're supposed to be using the same link at the same time, and there is an ad, and whoops, they get rid of it in a second, and I take so much time to get rid of it because I have to do so many gymnastics and workarounds to just get to skip ad. Actually, this is this thing about ads is not what I meant to show you. What I need, when I actually tried to show you, is when the button is not, when we cannot, for instance, in some platforms, like when you use some of those, for instance, Quaqua, if I don't have, they don't have screen, they don't have any shortcuts. So I just have to remember, and thankfully, if the button is labeled, that would help, because I do Control
Just
F
find dialog.
and write what
Find
I
what?
need,
نقطتان.
and then
Edit
it will
combo
take me
D.
there. But that's when the button is labeled, which was not the case in other platforms. So thankfully, it was labeled. And what I would do is each time I would like to take over or hand over, I would actually write it, which takes a lot of time.
Okay, I want to see you typing on the brailler, and then I would love to see. Oh wow, I can see the keys popping up.
Okay.
That's phenomenal.
Keys are popping up. Do you think this is good?
Okay. And then when it reads it back to you, what does it
It
sound
doesn't
like or
read
look
it
like?
back to me. I read it back.
You
to
read it back
myself.
by following across.
Yeah.
Okay, you're following across on the buttons.
Yes. I want to see you typing on the brailler. Oh, cool. Keys are popping up to, this is great. This is what you said, right? I can't remember.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
But that's I wrote.
This is so cool, Nadia. Thank you so much. This is phenomenal.
I can actually do something else with this brailler. I can connect it to my computer, and instead of listening to JAWS, I could read. And that's what I do in some cases when we have interpretation with text, for instance. Although I'm not yet that good with it, I mean, at it, because I still can't concentrate reading text and interpreting, but that's what I do.
That's so cool. I'm going to stop recording. Word. Say that again.
I have a scanner that I use with a software to convert documents now, and it would tell me whether it's upside down or right side or right side.
More options for participants button drop down. Pages right side up.
I don't know.
Right side up.
Dot, finished.
Yeah. Did it write it? I mean,
it said it. It said pages right side up.
Yeah.
Déplacement made.
Okay, because this is in French, I have to get my French.
Select the voice profile F. Francase, 3 of 9. Enter. Demande de déplacement. Déplacement. Demande de déplacement. Déplacement métropolitain. Le service métropolitain est un service intégré de transport adapté qui vous permet de voyager à l'extérieur de l'île de Montréal sur l'ensemble du territoire. De la RTM à l'aide du parc existant de taxis et de minibus. C'est le aller ou retour. Ces déplacements peuvent être effectués directement par la STM ou par correspondance, ce qui implique un autre transporteur. Nord vide. Légende
And I could open this in Word,
Do
Enter.
you...
which means that I could save it as a Word
métropolitain. Le service
document.
métropolitain est un service intégré de transport adapté qui vous permet de voyager à l'extérieur de l'île de Montréal sur l'ensemble du territoire de la RTM à l'aide du parc existant. Demande de déplacement vide.
The only unfortunate thing with this is it doesn't recognize Arabic.
Oh.
Alt 4 francs.
Yeah.
Microsoft Word document. Document Word.
And do you keep it reading at this insane
Yes.
speed all the time? You do. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is normal speed for me. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to keep up with you guys.
Back to you, Nadia.
Sure. So actually, like you saw, so I use JAWS, which is a voice synthesizer, a screen reader, and which actually reads out, basically, and ideally, you'd think it would read out everything, but it doesn't. There are things it does not read, like images, graphics, things that people decided to do differently and not rely on accessibility guidelines out there in the internet. So some would not use the web accessibility guidelines, and my computer becomes, my screen reader becomes just as blind as I am. And yeah, and for the scanner, I have this scanner that I showed you, but I also have a scanner on my phone using the camera. So it wouldn't actually have a physical scanner. It's just using the phone camera to do the same, exactly the same. And that one actually reads out Arabic, but still really, really bad Arabic. Arabic being a very complicated language in terms of writing and everything, it's really horribly scanned. So I'm still struggling with that. That's one of the things. You may not want to be my boothmate, but let's, so I actually answered it for you, but let me ask you if you would want to be a booth partner of a blind person. And before deciding, here's what you need to also know. My environment is zero paper. So even if I get a hard copy of a document, I would need to scan it. Otherwise, I wouldn't function and wouldn't be able to do a proper interpreting job. I will probably be of little help in finding you the right document in your pile of papers in the booth. But alternatively, I can hand over a soft copy open on my computer, pointing right to the same spot that you're looking for. I will not hand in a piece of paper with figures or notes jotted down for you, but I can, if we agree on where to put my computer so that it's facing you, I can jot down things for you in a Word document or an iPad. You could do the same for me, but you'd need to do it in typing. So you'd key in figures and stuff for me in my laptop or whatever app, whatever device I'm using. If a speaker is literally speeding through a PowerPoint they didn't hand in beforehand, then I'd maybe need you to take over, and I'll do your shift. And every now and then there are applications that pop up and you think I'll use them very quickly, So don't expect me on the day of the interpreting to start using an app that you showed me just a couple of minutes ago, because for every app and every tool I use, there is a learning curve for me. And because of accessibility issues, because not all people think of universal design, you can't expect me to use it as because it's your favorite app. I need to learn my workarounds and stuff to use it. And I may not even be able to use it because accessibility can be an obstacle. And I am still struggling with interpretation with text, like I said, because my instructor, my technology instructor, says that a blind person reads on average 140 words per minute, and I'm already beyond that. So he thinks that I can't go beyond this, but I'm trying. When I don't get the text before, it's complicated for me. When I get the text beforehand, I rely on my memory. If I get PPT images, I convert the images beforehand or get someone to describe them to me. If I get them on the spot, then imagination is my best bet. Bad news, I don't use most terminology management tools out there. The only one I've been able to use is Interpreter Help, and not with all features. So I've not been able to extract words because from text because it's not accessible. And yet that's the only one that's accessible actually. And that takes me to my last very hot issue, RSI platforms. I've experienced, I only had to do with RSI platforms this year through Glendon. And to be honest, in the beginning, when we were told that we would have a class on RSI platforms and all technology for TERPs, I was frustrated. I said, I'm not going to make it. I don't want this class. I hate anything that reminds me of cat tools and the saga. And well, surprisingly, I actually had a good experience with some of them, especially with Kudo and Kokwa. They are very responsive and listen to my feedback, and I am able to use most of the features there, if not all of them. But with others, it's sheer frustration. I just can't do anything. So I can be hardly employable in some of those platforms. And my last word to accessible or to actually RSI managers is, why don't you think of accessibility? It's just universal design. When you add in shortcuts to your platform, you're making it easy for me and for any interpreter out there. They might be interested also to use shortcuts. And why not just make it configurable with and compatible with hard consoles, for crying out loud. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. That's awesome. We're gonna, thank you so much. That was wonderful. We don't have time for questions, but I can always hunt Nadia down. So if you have questions, shoot them over to us and we'll get them over to her. And we are now going to go we are going to take our interpreters out of the booth, assign our French interpreters. So give us about 2 minutes while we transition. Thank you.